Florida Gators are back on the road to face the Kentucky Wildcats after a loss against number 5 rival Georgia. However, the Wildcats are coming off a big win against the Auburn Tigers. Can Florida redeem themselves under interim head coach Billy Gonzales, or is redemption off the table? Only time will tell. Gator Game Day starts right now. Welcome to another edition of Gator Game Day. We are here in Weimer Hall, the College of Journalism and Communications at the University of Florida. The Gators are set to take on the Kentucky Wildcats, trying to get to a bowl game. I'm your host, Haley Hurst, and joining me today are my awesome analysts, Hunter Zabarski and Tyler Brody. Guys, I hate to start off the show on a little bit of a negative note here, but the Gators are coming off yet another loss, falling to Georgia last week. They're 3-5 in the season with 4 games left, meaning they need to win the next 3 out of 4 in order to potentially get a bowl game invite and to avoid a losing record. So when it comes to the prospect of a bowl game, is this Kentucky game a must-win for Florida? Hunter?
100% this is a must-win game for bowl eligibility, not only because of what you said in the statistical factor, needing to win 3 of the next 4 games, but when you look at the remaining schedule, this is arguably the easiest game left for Florida, definitely in the SEC. So if you can't go to Kentucky, and I know they've struggled recently in Lexington, but if you can't go there and come away with a win, I don't see a way back, and I don't see a way back for Florida. I don't.
Yeah, and especially with the game you've got the next week with Ole Miss having to go on the road into Mississippi State, and then you've got the rivalry games of Tennessee and Florida State. Kentucky is most definitely a must-win. Whenever you were looking at the schedule at the beginning of this year, you saw the game like Mississippi State, you saw the Kentucky game, you're like, you're Florida. You are the 15th team coming into this season. Obviously, things didn't pan out the way that we thought they were going to. But Kentucky is a must-win if they want to get into a bowl game this year.
But let's go back to that Georgia game. I think fans went into that game wanting to compare the Gators' performance under the new interim head coach Billy Gonzales compared to the rest of the season with Billy Napier. Do we think that the Gators changed the way they attacked that game, or did they look like the same team that we've seen all season long? Tyler?
I think there was an attempt. There was an attempt to change things, especially with the new staff going on with Billy Gonzales and Ryan O'Hara calling plays. You see here, with DJ Lagway, he was able to roll out of the pocket, get a long touchdown to Trey Wilson to start the game. We saw a lot more play action, and we saw a lot more of what Lagway was known to do before, run, which you can see right here. They ran a QB draw, getting him over 20 yards on this play. That's the Lagway that we thought we were going to see, but he obviously didn't get those reps in the offseason to do that. You see a nice pass here over the middle to Trey Wilson, who had a great game. But it's just we didn't get to see the results that we wanted to, because with an opponent like the Georgia Bulldogs, it's not going to be an easy win, especially when you've got an interim coach and someone calling plays for the very first time. So it wasn't the results that we wanted to see, but they're trying to attempt to make a change.
Yeah, try is the right word, because the game plan looked different. The eyeball test, it looked different. But if you look at the stats, it all kind of felt the same old, comparing it to Billy Napier. Right, yards per game was less. I guess it's Georgia, so that's fair. The third down conversion was worse. Right, and that's been a problem all season, continues to be a problem. And against Georgia, this is a team, they were outrushed, outgained, outpossessed. Shall I keep going? Lost the third down battle, won the turnover battle, and still lost the game. And additionally, DJ Lagway, he didn't look himself. He's still overthrowing and underthrowing. I mean, these can't happen if they want to beat Kentucky today, right?
Yeah, and you would have to expect to see some improvement from this team, considering that the Georgia Bulldogs are a top 5 team in the country. They've had Florida's hand for the past 4, now 5 years. Yeah. You have to think that even if they have had no success in Lexington, that there should be some improvement today for the Gators.
And like you mentioned, Hunter, DJ Lagway is still missing those throws. He's not meeting this level of expectation that a lot of us had from him at the beginning of the season. Gator Game Day asked former Florida quarterback and Hall of Famer Shane Matthews, can Lagway change his mechanics mid-season?
No, you can't do it. It's muscle memory. Your mechanics are formed as a young kid or in the off season, and like I said, there's things that you do your entire career to have good mechanics when it comes to throwing a football, and you can't do it in the middle of a season.
And DJ Lagway didn't practice before the season started. According to Shane Matthews, if he can't fix those fundamentals mid-season, this is the DJ Lagway Florida fans should expect. And what I want you to take a look at in this video is how far back his arm goes to throw the ball. And it's underthrown in that one, and that's a whole different conversation if it's a catch or a no catch. But he takes so long to release the ball, it gives defenders the opportunity to read his eyes and his body language. And that's what come back to bite him. Look at his arm release. He slid it from way back. And the defender's able to come across and get that interception. As we saw earlier, Lagway leads the SEC with 9 interceptions.
Yeah, and not even his throwing motion, but his footwork, which is so important. You see there, he's off balance, throws back into triple coverage, and that's a pick for the LSU defense. When you think of a quarterback, you may think, oh, they have to have arm strength, they have to have accuracy. If you're not comfortable with your weight and how you're moving your feet on the field, that is the fundamentals of being a quarterback. If you're not set and you're trying to throw these off-platform throws, you're not going to be able to be successful, and I don't believe either. I believe Shane Matthews, we're not going to see a change from him with only 4 games left.
100%.
And Tyler, like you said, how he looked in the LSU game. Let's look at these stats right here. He's had 9 interceptions so far this season, which leads in the SEC. Based on what we've analyzed, can Lagway still be the QB1 for Florida next season? And crazy to me to ask, but do you think he'll stay at Florida next year?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, well, in his press conference on Wednesday, Coach Billy Gonzales was asked about DJ Lagway's practice week, and he said, to be honest, both quarterbacks had a good day. He's referring to Tramel Jones, the backup freshman. I think DJ Lagway needs to move on for his own sake, and for Florida as well. Do they have another year to wait to see if Lagway gets better? This is a guy that can leave and become a top quarterback, and Florida feels like he's the one that got away.
Yeah.
But ultimately, can he do it here?
I'm not sure because we haven't seen it, and obviously the circumstances for him over the offseason with the injuries have not been ideal. But after the season, possibly if he does leave to go somewhere else, he has the time to become better. And that's the scary thing. With how well Tramel Jones, how he's been playing, you have to think, is that maybe a reason why we're asking this question if Lagway will be the quarterback next year?
Well, hypothetically, where would Lagway go?
I don't even want to think about that, but I think maybe a Texas school like A&M or Texas Tech going back to his hometown. I don't even want to think about that right now.
If you want to play on Sunday, you stay in the SEC. He goes to an SEC school, I think.
Yeah.
Those are some hot take there. Lagway leaving, going to another school is not something Gator Game Day would have thought from week 1. But let's just focus back to today's matchup and take a look at these impact players for both Kentucky and Florida. Tyler, why are these 2 players the ones to look out for the Gators?
Yeah, if we're starting with the Gators, the first player I want to talk about is J. Michael Sturdivant. We've obviously had some questionable players in the receiver room with Vernell Brown and Aiden Mizell. Sturdivant, the transfer receiver from UCLA, hasn't been what we thought he was going to be this season. He obviously was supposed to come in and be a big impact player, but we haven't seen that. So we're going to definitely need to have him have a successful game today so that the wide receiver room is well balanced. You can see here that with the game against A&M, he does have these good catches. He is a good deep threat receiver here in the back of the end zone, turning around, getting that catch, but those plays haven't been consistent with Sturdivant this entire season. And then you've also got the heart of the defense, Miles Graham. Kentucky's offense runs very well, better than their passing game. With Miles Graham getting short run stops like this, the defense will have success today versus Kentucky.
Yeah, you speak about Kentucky's rushing game. There's the area that they can attack the Florida Gators, and it all starts with Seth McGowan. His 7 touchdowns lead the team. And Coach Billy Gonzales said on Wednesday, they run the ball and control the ball well. You'll see it here. He's got a shifty move to it. So guys like Miles Graham are going to have to make open field tackles. The safeties are going to have to make open field tackles against this guy. And defensively, they have Jordan Lovett. He's got 2 interceptions all 4 years he's played for Kentucky. When you got a guy like Lagway winding back, giving you that time, he'll be licking his lips trying to pick off DJ Lagway today.
Well, thank you both for your analysis. We're about to take a quick break, but don't you worry, when we get back, our very own Matisse Sanchez is going to give us an inside look about how the Gators prepare for an away game, and we'll hear a conversation about the history between Kentucky and Florida. Gator Game Day, we'll be right back.
Gator Game Day is brought to you by Meldon Law. With 54 years of experience, the only injury law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Meldon Law won't back down. And Gator Game Day is also brought to you by Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, locally owned, polished casual dining with a selection of farm-to-table, made-from-scratch food with flavors across Gator Nation. Spurrier's was built by Gators for Gators.
This is a history of APD, Aesthetic Print and Design. The year was 2002, and these two created an apparel printing business in Gainesville. Casey handled creative, the artistic stuff. Jonathan managed logistics. He's the number cruncher. Their philosophy? All work is performed in-house. The crew at APD has printed more than 2 million shirts shipped to all 50 states. 2 decades later, they occasionally need a mediator, and now you know the story. APD, Aesthetic Print and Design, where we say printing is cool.
Welcome back to Gator Game Day. I'm your host, Haley Hurst, and alongside me are Hunter Zbarsky and Tyler Brody. Guys, Florida's extensive list of injured players just keeps on growing week after week, and I mean, there's a few names that have stayed the same, but this week, the biggest name is wide receiver Eugene Wilson, who is out for today's matchup, and Dallas Wilson, who suffered a foot injury in last week's Georgia game. Hunter, this seems like a common theme that we keep seeing with Florida.
Yeah, well, credit to production for being able to fit all of those names on that graphic.
I was about to say the same thing. Oh, my gosh.
Right, but I saw a report that Florida has had more injuries than any of their SEC opponents in the past 2 years. I promise you I read that right. It's a question of you go from being unlucky to how is this team preparing every week? What's going on in the weight room?
Yeah, I mean, those are the behind-the-scenes things that we're not able to see. But you do have to remember it is the game of football. Injuries do happen. But man, having that consistent of an injury report with the Florida Gators, it's really unfortunate. You want to see this team play at full capacity. We haven't seen it all year.
But let's switch gears here. I have a question for you guys. When you go on vacation, what's the one thing you have to pack in your suitcase?
Socks. I need multiple pairs of socks.
I would probably say like my toothbrush, you know. That's
Okay,
pretty
okay.
I bring that too. I promise.
Okay, but now imagine having to remember to pack that for 50 other people and for a road trip about 715 miles away. Gator Game Day's Matish Sanchez went to Hebner Football Complex to break down how the Gators did just that.
Before the Gators head out for one of their longest road trips of the season, the preparation starts here at the Hebner Center. From uniforms to equipment, every detail is planned and packed to make sure game day runs smoothly.
So our preparation actually starts really after the game on Saturday. So as soon as we get back, we unload the truck, we start all the laundry, get all the coaches' clothes ready for dry cleaning. Really, we have a whole process that takes pretty much all day Sunday just to get things turned around so we can pack stuff throughout the week. We make a million checklists of each trunk. We over-prepare on just about any item you could think of, which is everything a player wears head to toe. So there's a lot that we have to keep track of, and going on the road, you know, if you forget something, we're not right across the street, so you can't just come back and get it.
It's a complex system where each staff member learns from experience, growing a little more with every game.
You know, as you travel every trip, there's always, you know, little notes you take away from it, things you basically from how to pack the truck, what needs to be packed, what order you're packing it, how you're setting it up, where you're going. So it's kind of just a routine thing.
It takes a village for the Gators to get everything ready before hitting the road, a coordinated effort that keeps the entire operation running smoothly.
We send a crew out on Thursday nights, and they'll set up the entire locker room on Friday. So like tonight, my students, along with a couple other full-time guys, they will leave, and then while they're setting up the locker room on Friday, they have a checklist to make sure that we have everything that we needed. And if we're missing anything, we still have a chance, because I fly with the team on Friday, to load something up on the plane if we need. You would be amazed at what goes into playing a 3-hour football game.
All the behind-the-scenes work here at the training facility make these long road trips possible. But when it's all said and done, the Gators have one thing in sight: the Wildcats. Reporting for Gator Gameday, I'm Matisse Sanchez.
Thank you, Matisse. I had no idea how much preparation goes into a football game. Did you, Hunter?
Based on the way they prepare, Tyler, you might want to start packing an extra toothbrush.
I can't even tell you the amount of times I've forgotten things going on vacations. It's not a good sight for me. They prepare so much. It's great to see.
Well, let's just hope that nothing got left behind for this Kentucky matchup, which Kentucky is now an annual opponent for Florida for the next 4 years. But what exactly is the history between these two programs? Our very own Brooke Park and Matt Blinderman have more.
Well, thank you very much, guys. Although we are not in Kentucky traveling with the team, we are right here in the swamp, where actually just last season, Jaden Ball tied a single-game rushing touchdown record, rushing for 5 total touchdowns against the Kentucky Wildcats.
Now, Florida and Kentucky are no strangers to one another, as their first matchup dates all the way back to 1917. However, they did not consecutively start playing one another until 1967, so it's been 58 years of this rivalry matchup.
Rivalry matchup, 100%. But something I will add is Florida has dominated this rivalry, winning 34 of their last 38 games against Kentucky, which does include a 31-game win streak, which is the longest win streak in SEC history against a single opponent. Dating from 1987 all the way until 2017, Florida beat Kentucky. That means through all of Michael Jordan's rings, through Kobe Bryant's entire career, Florida dominated Kentucky.
Wow, Matt, that really does put it in perspective for us. However, this season, both teams have somewhat struggled, so it'll be interesting to see who comes out on top.
To say both teams struggled, that's an understatement. Kentucky was able to claw away and get their first win in the SEC just last week in a 10-3 victory over Auburn. And as we know, Florida's been struggling as they only have 2 wins in the SEC so far this season.
This game is crucial for the Gators to keep any bowl game hopes alive. However, they do have a 22-12 away record at Kroger Field, so this environment might not be too dangerous for them.
Now, I will say, Brooke, that record is kind of misleading, as Florida has not won in Lexington, Kentucky in the last 6 years.
Nonetheless, Florida will continue to play Kentucky until 2029. It was announced in September. Other opponents include Georgia and South Carolina. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you, Brooke and Matt. And like they both mentioned, the Gators have not had success in their last 2 trips to Lexington, losing in both 2021 and 2023. And those back-to-back losses came after 16 wins in a row at Kentucky. And ironically enough, to add to today's plate, the last time that the Wildcats have beaten an SEC team at home was against the Gators in 2023. So how significant is this game from a program standpoint?
Well, for anyone who thinks that this Florida team has hit rock bottom, I promise you it can get much worse today. All right, and you talk about what it's come to in the scenes of NIL. These players aren't even being paid to beat Kentucky. They're being paid to beat the bigger teams. They got to go out there and perform if this program wants to move forward.
And especially considering that Kentucky is one of the consistent rivalries that Florida is going to see in the future years. There was a point, as they said, they beat them for 3 decades straight. You've got Billy Napier going into Kentucky, losing the past 2 times. You really hope it's not a Billy problem at coach. You want to hope that Gonzales is going to be able to beat Kentucky in Lexington. It's just with how the history has been with Florida and Kentucky, if they lose this game again, you're going to, as a program, have to look at yourself in the mirror. Ooh.
Well, we've talked all things Gators, and we're about to take another quick break, but when we get back, we'll take a look at potential playoff matchups, and things will get hot in here as we play our favorite game, Chomp or Swamp. Gator Game Day. We'll be right back.
Well, I'm joining the band, of course. Since Meldon Law is the official law firm partner of the Florida Gators, I want to help.
Dad, we're litigators. let's stick to helping people in the courtroom.
Well, can we still hang out and jam a little bit? At Meldon Law, we won't back down.
Hi there, this is Coach Steve Spurrier, and I want to let you know that by popular demand, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill's delicious brunch is now served in a premium buffet. You have spoken, we have listened, and we're now serving Gainesville's only elevated buffet, complete with an omelet station, ginger sage chicken sausage, shredded short rib, and of course our chicken and waffles. Plus, you can enjoy bottomless, mimosas, and Bloody Marys. So join us every Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 3 for the best brunch in town.
Welcome back to Gator Game Day. I'm your host, Haley Hurst, and joining me are Hunter Zabarski and Tyler Brody. Guys, we got a first look at our college football playoff rankings on Tuesday this week, and they'll continue to release every Tuesday until the official playoff bracket on December 7th. Playoffs are out of the question for the Gators, but there are several other teams who are still in the running to make the playoffs, including 4 SEC teams as shown on the screen. And I know you both have your own bracket predictions, and I'd love to see them. Hunter, why don't you show us what you got?
Yeah, my bracket starts off strong. And the one game I want to talk about in the first round is Notre Dame BYU. Talk about automatic bids. It seems like no matter what Notre Dame do, they find their way into the college football playoffs. But this year, they're not successful. I'm taking the BYU Cougars to move on. Then get that Georgia-Alabama game they played earlier this year. Alabama won that one 24-21. Georgia didn't let them score a point in the second half, but Georgia also hasn't played a complete game yet to this point of the season. So I think the Crimson Tide keep on rolling in that one. And then I'm looking at Texas A&M Indiana. I'm a big fan of Mendoza, not because I'm a Dolphins fan, all right? There's other reasons. I feel like Texas A&M has played too many big games. They have to go through a tough opponent in the playoffs before they get to Indiana. They're actually playing right now against Missouri, a really good team. So I think that brings them to the championship. And Ohio State, I mean, do I have to explain why I put Ohio State in the championship? All right, they won last year. I think they'll be back there again. But Texas A&M, that's the one I'm keeping my eye on. You can slow down this offense, but you cannot stop it. They average 35 points in the SEC. Ohio State, they're the number one red zone defense. But Texas A&M, they don't need to get to the red zone to score. They have the least amount of passing attempts and almost the highest amount of points. Marcel Reed, I'm picking you. Don't let me down.
Texas A&M at the top. I mean, I'm looking at Tyler over here. He doesn't seem like he agrees. What do you think?
I don't know how I feel about that bracket, man. I want to go through mine, okay? I want the fans to see what I'm thinking right now. All right, so the matchup in the first round that I am most excited for is Ole Miss Virginia, because I don't think that Ole Miss is going to lose to Virginia that first match, and that's obviously not good for the Florida Gators if they want to have lane. You don't want Ole Miss to have success in the playoffs, but if they're going against Virginia in the first round, I can't pick against Ole Miss. And then if you look at the second round, I actually have Notre Dame getting into the second round. Notre Dame has the #1 rushing offense in the entire country. When you set up that run game, you cannot be stopped. And they've got Jeremiah Love, arguably the best running back in the country. And then when you get into the next round, I also agree with you, Georgia has an Alabama problem. I'm not choosing Georgia over Alabama, but I've got actually Notre Dame going into the Final Four. If you remember, Ohio State won the championship last year as a lower rated seed. So you've got to have one of those lower seeds getting into the further games. But when you get into the championship, I actually agree with you, Hunter, although I don't like your final pick. I have Ohio State beating Texas A&M. Ohio State destroys teams with their defense, especially in the red zone. You can't pick against Ohio State until you see them lose.
You know what? I'm swamping that take.
Oh, that's the next segment. He's getting ahead of the show program. What are we doing?
Someone's excited over here. He's going to get this game rolling. I mean, fine. We'll get right into it. So the way it works is I'm going to propose a take, and then my analyst over here, like he just showed you, if they agree with the take, they're going to chomp it. If they disagree with it, they're going to swamp it. Those are for you. So let's get into it. Let's start off strong. Take number 1. Dallas Wilson will not be a Florida Gator next season.
Oh, boy.
What are we thinking? Tyler?
This is another question that we're bringing up on this show that I do not even want to think of. I'm going to chomp that take, though. I think that he's going to be, or I don't think that he's going to be on this team next year because this team hasn't shown what they can do. And Dallas Wilson, if he goes to another program, maybe like similarly to Lagway, he'll show what he can do for another team.
Yeah, I'm swapping that take for 2 reasons. 1, money. If you pay the man, he stays. 2, who's the coach? The new coach might, if I'm a receiver, I'd love to play for Lane Kiffin.
I mean, I think a couple fans would be disappointed if he left next year, to say the least, but let's get into take number 2 here. Florida will score over 30 points today, which will be the most scored since our home opener. Hunter, what do you think?
Make you seem so negative, but I'm going to swamp that one again because neither team is scoring over 30 points. Florida's last in the SEC in touchdowns with 19. Kentucky, second to last with 21. To put that in perspective, Tennessee has 51 touchdowns. What are we doing? Swamping that.
I don't know, man. If I just think about the Kentucky game last year, right? It was in the swamp, but Jaden Baugh had 5 rushing touchdowns. He was him, right? I'm going to chomp that take, maybe because I'm sad I haven't seen the team score over 30 points since LIU, but it's going to happen in Lexington. Florida will at least get 30 points.
Maybe I can get you to chomp this last take, Hunter, here. Let's get into it. Mark Stoops will be the next SEC coach fired after a loss to Florida. What are we thinking? Hunter?
I'm sorry to disappoint you.
Oh,
I'm swamping that take. You know that song where they're like, it's not about the money, money, money. It is about the money, and Kentucky can't afford to let him go. $38 million is owed to him in full within 60 days. It's a money issue. Therefore, unfortunately, maybe for Kentucky fans, he's staying. I think he's good.
At least for me, I think I'm going 3 for 3 on the chomps. I don't think that Mark Stoops will be the coach after this game. They played Auburn last game, and Hugh Freeze ends up getting fired, the prior coach of Auburn. Florida, just because they need to get a win in Lexington, it hasn't happened in so long, will go in there, whoop Kentucky, and Stoops is not going to be the head coach after this game.
I don't know. At this point, every college football coach is on the hot seat, so we'll have to see. But thank you guys for all of your takes. Next week, Gator Game Day will be back as the Gators stay on the road to face number 7 Ole Miss. From all of us here at the desk, I'm Haley Hurst with Hunter Zabarski and Tyler Brody. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you to our production crew for all the work you do behind the scenes. We'll see you next time on Gator Game Day.
Gator Game Day is brought to you by Meldon Law. With 54 years of experience, the only injury law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Meldon Law won't back down. And Gator Game Day is also brought to you by Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Locally owned, polished casual dining with a selection of farm-to-table, made-from-scratch food with flavors across Gator Nation. Spurrier's was built by Gators for Gators.